Does your child with ADHD make threats that scare you when they're not getting their way? That's a really common behavior in kids with ADHD because when they're not getting their way, they get stuck. This has to do with flexibility, which is an aspect of executive functioning. You might be surprised to know it's really common for kids with ADHD to make suicidal threats, hold knives up to themselves, and things like that when they're not getting their way. So here's how you deal with that. Number one, if you are ever genuinely concerned for your child's safety, you need to take them to the emergency room to be evaluated or call the police. Safety needs to be priority at all times. If you are not concerned with their safety because they tend to make these empty threats a lot, well, then the first thing we want to do is enlist supporters. This is a concept I teach in Scaffolding Better Behavior, my parent behavior training program. Supporters are people your child respects who can reach out to them when they're struggling and offer support. A supporter can be anybody from a grandparent, an aunt and uncle, a family friend who they like. Supporters do not need to be local. The idea behind enlisting supporters is that when your child is struggling, you have the supporters reach out to them just to offer their support and encouragement. There is no lecturing, there is no scolding, there is no playing armchair therapist and asking questions like, why are you doing that? Or how does it make you feel? All they need to do is say, hey, I hear you're having a hard time right now. What can I do to help? That's all. The reason why we enlist supporters is because most kids do not want other people outside of their immediate family to know about their threatening behaviors. They want these behaviors to be a family secret because they would be embarrassed if other people knew about them. When we no longer keep their behaviors a secret, when people reach out to them who care about them and respect them, that is going to help change these behaviors. This is an evidence based approach that is extremely effective. Aside from enlisting supporters to help out when your child is making threats, it's really important to not give attention to the threatening behaviors by getting into a discussion about it or giving them reassurance. When you give attention to threats, you are validating their effectiveness and you will cause them to continue or, in many cases, get worse. The more kids see that threats are upsetting to their family, the more they will use them as leverage when they're not getting their way. Again, if you're ever concerned for your child's safety, you need to take them to the emergency room to be evaluated or call the police. I will tell you, in many cases, when parents follow through with that, the threats stop. If you are not concerned for your child's safety and you believe the threats are empty threats, then we want to enlist supporters to reach out to them when they're struggling. And I want to be really clear, you never use supporters as a threat. So you don't say things like, you better stop threatening to kill yourself or I'm going to let Uncle Bob know. You don't have any discussion about that. You just reach out to the supporters and say, hey, can you reach out to Ryan right now? He's having a hard time and making threats. And the last piece is do not give emotional reactivity and attention to threats by getting into discussions or negotiations or arguments about them. That only reinforces their effectiveness. I can tell you with confidence, when parents follow this advice, the threats subside and in many cases stop completely. So start thinking about now who can be supporters to your child and reach out to them. In my experience, most people who care about your child will be more than happy to take on the role of supporter. I hope this is helpful. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.